the financial return and they're sort of investing thinking that they might be able to make a profit as opposed to thinking about it. We try and get them to think, if it was your own money, would you invest this money? And that's that's the sort of stops them being speculative and really think about a proper business case. So instead of going, I've got an idea, if I bought a truck I could go and do this amount of work, we encourage them to generate that work first and then put the capex, the capital equipment together to make it work.
Okay, so now on topic again, do you have any external auditors in that audit procedures that ensure that the problems don't arise
Absolutely, yeah. We've actually just before you came in, I was reviewing we have an annual financial audit, which is external auditors, and they come in and review our processes right from they'll take a purchase of any sort of plant equipment and go back to the source document by looking for the capex approvals, then they'll look for the purchase order, then they'll look for the invoice, and they'll check the whole process start to finish. We also have internal audit procedures where we run through a thing called ISO. When we come across it, I'm not sure, but it's basically international standards for operating construction businesses, etc. And as part of that, we have to internally audit our own processes. So, for example, we'll just pick 2 people at random out of the organisation, and they'll do their own independent audit of our systems, so they'll do the same thing. And then thirdly, we have every week our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, takes a capital purchase item that was done in the past and reviews it. So he'll go, okay, in the capital you said you were going to use this truck and generate $50,000 worth of revenue, and you said you were going to, it was going to be white and it was going to cost this much, and he goes and gets the actual side of it and looks to make sure that we have delivered on what we promised. So that way it stops people going, I want to buy a $50,000 truck and then going out and buying a better one, a different one, etc. So there's 3 specific processes we use there to make sure that this process is managed to.
Jono, how does the ISO create a control? Do people buying your product look for your service look for ISO?
Yeah, definitely. ISO is something that's virtually mandatory to provide construction services in New Zealand, because ISO basically at its highest level is a set of business procedures that controls everything from the way you work, the way you tender for work, the way you interact with clients, and the way you do capital purchasing, any sort of purchasing and things like that. And it just basically shows a prospective client that we have some really strict procedures on how we operate our business. Because when they're buying our service, they want to make sure that they're buying a set of standard procedures. They don't just want any old cowboy doing anything he can. So it's very critical for us to maintain that ISO accreditation, and this is all part of it. And what we give is, as well as the financial external auditor, we have a financial ISO auditor that comes in and makes sure that we've been doing our internal audit. So there's checking basically to make sure that we're following the procedures.
So can you give us an example of a PPE asset used by CityCare that was being purchased under the control of CityCare?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the purchasing decision of that, we look at what sort of utilisation we're going to get. Is it the right decision for us to own it as opposed to lease it or hire it, etc. Virtually all of our fleet of trucks and mowers are owned, as in we purchase them. Basically anything that we know we're going to use a lot of